Hey everybody, Sean, Zaranyzerak, Hidden World, David, bunch of numbers. Anybody that's watching this right now on YouTube and possibly courtesy of Sean's Zaranyzerak page and possibly on the comic books, well, not my comic book, but my DVD, Blu-Ray movies page, whatever you want to call it, on Facebook. You know, Sean, I talked about this earlier, and I was trying to do this video earlier today or yesterday now, when I was going to work, and as you can tell, I'm up and kind of slightly worn down, if you will. I mean, but basically, I was the only one scheduled to close tonight. Well, last night, as far as carts were concerned. You know, here's what's funny, just to make this short. They had me scheduled from, okay, last Tuesday they had me doing cashiering. Last Thursday, cashiering. Saturday, Sunday, cashiering. Today or yesterday, carts. Thursday, or now physically tomorrow, Thursday, 8 to 5, carts. And then they're going to have me cashier the next day, 6:30 to 3. And then my schedule after that's kind of, you know, basically I'm not scheduled for work that week, or as far as I know I'm not, unless word gets around that, hey, wait a minute, one of our people is not working that week, even though there might be two openings out there. I'm not sure yet, but that's from what I understand. There might be two openings there. We'll just have to wait and see. They might get taken, they may not. We'll see what happens. But yeah, there might be, may not be, I don't know. So in case anybody is watching and likes to let others know, yeah, there might be openings, but I don't know if they'll be open or not. So all the other openings are upon management approval, and they're basically for supervising, managing, and associating in other areas that I'm not aware of yet, that I don't know much about yet, I should say. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But anyway, just to point out something that I mentioned in another video, Sean, and anybody else watching, you know, you talked about, when you responded to my questions, you kind of talked about how when DVD gets shown on is up-converted, if you will, on a high-def television, that all the up-conversion does is just smooth it out so it doesn't look so pixelated and jagged. And that is true, it definitely smooths it out, but here's something that you may agree or may not agree with. From what I've seen, let's say I watched, you know, because there are times I'll put Sonic Sat AM, the DVD, I'll put it in the Blu-ray player, or even before that, the DVD player, because the DVD player, which is now in my room, has an HDMI output. I would put the DVD, I would put Sonic Sat AM into the DVD player, or now the Blu-ray player. And you're right, it does smooth it out, it does make it look, you know, more acceptable on HD television. But here's something that it also does, and it seems that, like I mentioned in a previous video you'll see, it kind of lives up to what a lot of the hype was when Blu-ray came around, and, you know, it's still hyped up as today. And that it basically makes your DVDs look better. And how does it make it look better? Well, like you said, up conversion basically makes it smoothed out, makes it more acceptable. Just smoothes it out so it's not jagged and pixelated, and makes it more acceptable. But here's something that I think you may or may not agree with, is the fact that it also seemed, in my opinion, seems to smooth out the coloring. In other words, it makes the coloring look, okay, it basically makes the coloring of the image, of the picture, it makes it look like the show was just made recently. That's basically how smooth it makes it look like on high def. So like you said, when it smoothes out so it doesn't look so pixelated and jagged, at the same time it seems that when it smoothes that out, it smoothes out the color so it looks like there's more depth. It makes it look like there's more depth to the color. Basically makes the show, like Sonic's at AM, makes it look like it was just released recently on television. So again, that's just from my own personal experience, and that's, maybe you'll agree with that, maybe you won't, but, and I'm sure some might agree, may not agree, but that's just my own personal opinion. Now, the one thing you did mention about what we're eventually going to be getting here in the States, in Canada and elsewhere, basically what Germany has been doing and other countries have been doing as well. And from what you said recently, what Fox has been doing with The Simpsons, with seasons 13 to 17, and that is basically releasing up-converted Blu-ray releases of these standard definition or standard video, basically DVD quality. Basically, these DVD releases, these standard broadcast releases of The Simpsons onto Blu-ray, like you said, through up-conversion. And as you would basically pointed out, that being like basically being, you didn't really say it this way, but basically being like a sign of what's to come. I was kind of thinking to myself, because I asked this question to you one time and you answered it. I was thinking to myself, what shows, what 80s cartoons and stuff could be the first to see Blu-ray releases down the line. And I'm not talking, up-conversion Blu-ray releases, but basically what Germany's doing, and that, as you call it, shovelwaring, or shoveling it basically onto Blu-ray. I thought to myself, what shows could get that treatment from the 80s, if not the 90s, and maybe early 2000s. And I thought to myself, well, you got a lot of these independent companies. Shout Factory is, in a sense, still an independent company, even though they make deals with the major companies out there like Warner Brothers, Disney, Paramount, you name it. They'll make deals with all these studios and other major companies to release Blu-ray, DVD or Blu-rays of movies or shows that, maybe a company like Disney or a company like Warner or Universal or Fox won't have the time to release. So, to me, that still makes Shout Factory, in a sense, still an independent company. It's kind of like, to do a comparison to wrestling, they're kind of like with Ring of Honor. They're kind of, well, they're not, I would say they're kind of like the Ring of Honor, if the Ring of Honor of video distributing. Basically, they're going to give you things that you won't normally get from the big guys. Like they'll give you matches you won't get or see in TNA, or you won't get or see in the WWE. So that's basically what it's like. And but the big difference is they're able to go out and make deals with these other companies and say, hey, we'll do this, we'll distribute Blu-ray and DVD releases of such and such titles, so you could focus on these other things. Basically, it takes the burden off their shoulder. But yeah, that's basically what I see. And but yeah, that's basically what I see Shout Factory as, from a wrestling standpoint. The only difference is ROH doesn't make deals with WWE or TNA to say, hey, we'll put this match together so you guys can focus on other things. They don't do that. I wish they would, but they don't. But anyway, getting to my point though, I think, in a sense, Shout Factory, Mill Creek, and Echo Bridge, I believe, are going to be the first among the video distributors out there that are going to go Blu-ray release, shovelware, if you will, shovelware or shovelware Blu-ray releasing of a lot of 80s cartoons. I just feel that's coming. Don't know when, don't know when, but I know eventually it's going to happen. I mean, for example, if I can get it out here very quickly. Sorry about looking at the arm, if you will. Let's see if I can get this here real quickly. As you know, Mill Creek, of course, now has the rights, the licensing rights to a lot of the Cookie Jar shows, or formerly Dick Entertainment shows, and I believe Mill Creek will shovelware this as one of its first titles onto Blu-ray, and that is Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats. I truly believe that's what they're going to do. Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats, the complete series, is going to be the first from Mill Creek, in my opinion, from Mill Creek to get the shovelware treatment. I truly believe that's what's going to happen. I believe it. Mill Creek, to me, is going to take Heathcliff, they're going to take Jace, maybe Inspector Gadget, and any other title from Cookie Jar / Dick Entertainment that they have a license to distribute. And if they still have the license, they're going to, as you put it, shovelware the series onto Blu-ray. Now, Heathcliff, of course, is like Transformers. It basically has more than 65 episodes. So you'll probably be looking at a 2-disc release, or you're basically looking at a 2 Blu-ray disc release of Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats. Basically shovelwared onto a 2 Blu-ray disc for a Blu-ray release of the show. That's what I see happening with Mill Creek, and I see the same with with Inspector Gadget. You're probably looking at maybe a 3, maybe 4 Blu-ray disc release, depending on how big that show was. I can't remember how many episodes, but I think maybe you're looking at 3 or 4 discs at the most with Inspector Gadget. Maybe, I could be wrong, but that's what I see there. What else? Jason the Wheeled Warriors. I think you're looking at maybe a 1-disc or 2-disc release on that. Possibly a 1-disc, because I think it was just 1 season. So you're looking at a 1-disc Blu-ray release. So yeah, that's some of the titles I know that Mill Creek. Archie's Weird Mysteries, I think, also by Mill Creek, I think is also going to get shovelwared eventually, and you're probably looking at basically a 1 Blu-ray release there. That's it. So, yeah. And then, of course, you have, like I say, you have Echo Bridge, who does all these 8-packs, who does all these 2-disc DVD releases of 8 kid movie packs, so basically 8 movies on 1 DVD, or 12 movies on 2 DVDs. I'm looking at Echo Bridge of just doing the same thing, just shoveling all those titles, if not more so, onto a Blu-ray. I mean, the 8 kids movie pack that I have, that you've seen, I believe if they wanted to redistribute that on Blu-ray, you'd be looking at 4 more titles being added on and just shovelwared onto Blu-ray. On 1 Blu-ray. That's what I see happening. So, that's what I think they're going to do with a lot of the recent DVD, multi-story, multi-animated movies, live-action shows, movies. That's what I see them doing in the future. Just shovelwaring them, or just shoveling them, if you will, Sean, onto Blu-rays down the line. And again, just don't know when, but eventually I got a feeling it will be soon. Another company I forgot to mention, N-Circle. N-Circle, which basically has been distributing a lot of the video game properties, a lot of the animated video game adaptations that Cookie Jar, Dick Entertainment had done throughout the years. I think N-Circle, or basically whatever they're calling themselves now, is going to do the same thing, and I definitely see a lot of the Super Mario Brothers shows, like the Super Mario Super Show. I probably see as a one-disc release, a one Blu-ray disc release. I see their other shows like Legend of Zelda, of course, will get a one-disc Blu-ray release. I see shows like Captain N getting it, if they still can do Captain N. I see the Super Mario World getting it as well. So you're looking at one Blu-ray release for each of those titles I just mentioned, including the Sonic titles. Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Underground, and of course, Sonic Sat AM. And of course, this is still the one that has not been open for over 7 years. Can you believe that? 7 years and what has it been, like 2 months? We're going on 3 months now. 7 years, 3 months. So not too bad. But yeah. Basically, I see that getting a one Blu-ray release. I see the same with Adventures, and I see the same with Sonic Underground from the End Circle standpoint, or whatever they call themselves now. Shout Factory, I definitely see the same thing with them. And like you said, Shout Factory, because they have the Hasbro shows, they have the Hasbro series. I see them doing 2-disc release on Transformers. I see them doing maybe a 2-disc release on Gem and G.I. Joe and My Little Pony, you know, G1. I see them doing shovelware Blu-ray editions of those down the line. I see it. So I definitely see those titles being like one of the first that Shout Factory will say, hey, let's put them on Blu-ray. Let's just take what we put on DVD, put them on Blu-ray, and all that. And you know, I see it with the other titles they have access to. I definitely see it if they do, because I mentioned this in the My Little Pony video where I talked about he was coming to DVD finally, G1 that is, Generation 1. Well, I definitely see them doing this once they do it once they release the DVD version. I definitely see them doing it with Visionaries. I definitely see them doing it in Humanoids. And this would be after they finally release the DVDs. The DVD releases, I see them doing it with them. I see them taking the 2-disc release of Inhumanoids, the 2-disc release of Visionaries, and saying, up onto this one Blu-ray you go. So I definitely see that, and I wouldn't be surprised by that down the line. But yeah, I see it. Really, I really do. And the major studios like Warner Brothers and Disney and Universal and all that, I see the same thing too. Yeah, you might say they might be more on demand, or in Disney's case, movie club exclusives, but you know what? If it happens that way, it happens. You know, I see DuckTales becoming a Blu-ray release, and you know, they got like, what, over 100-something episodes, so you're looking like at a 4-disc Blu-ray release of DuckTales, the series, of the DuckTales series. You know, I see a 1-disc release for Tailspin. I see maybe a basically a 2-disc release for Darkwing Duck, 1 disc for Bonkers, 1 disc for Goof Troop, or maybe a 2-disc for Goof Troop, who knows, 1 or 2 discs for, I think it's mostly going to be a 1-disc, mainly. I could be wrong, but I think it's a 1-disc. I definitely see that. The same with Gummy Bears, if they want to go in that direction. The same with, you know, Goggles, on the other hand, they may get a 2, maybe 3-disc Blu-ray release. You know, same with Aladdin, the series, if they did that. You know, Kim Possible has had a lot of episodes, 4 seasons worth, so I would definitely see maybe perhaps a 4-disc Blu-ray release for her. Maybe even a multi-volume Blu-ray release for her, because think about it, her show came out in the 2000s, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's eligible enough to just, you know, become a Blu-ray release on its own and get that high-def transfer that, you know, some say wouldn't happen, but again, it all depends. But I do see her getting a Blu-ray release. Either it's just slapping the episodes onto a Blu-ray or giving her that high-def transfer. But yeah, I see those shows, and like I said, I see Mighty Ducks, the animated series, getting it if they went in that direction for one disc. So just a lot of the Disney afternoon shows, I feel, depending on how many episodes they had, I definitely see some of them getting 1 up to maybe 3 disc Blu-ray releases. As you would call shovelwared. And basically, what as you called it, the episodes are just shovelwared from the DVDs onto the Blu-rays, and that's it. That's what I see. That's what I see. And as far as Warner Brothers goes, Tiny Toons, I think could get basically a shovelwared, maybe a shovelwared 4-disc, maybe Blu-ray release for Tiny Toons. Same for Animaniacs, maybe a 4-disc Blu-ray release. Basically, like you say, the episodes are shoveled onto there. Again, it all depends on how many episodes were made. We gotta look at that. So you're looking at maybe with Animaniacs, realistically, you're probably looking at 2 or 3 discs, possibly for Animaniacs, and maybe 2 or 3 discs for Tiny Toons down the line, if Warner Brothers does that. And don't be surprised if, yes, they will be on demand. Don't be surprised by that either. But they might also test the waters with a worldwide or national retail release. But again, don't be surprised if it is manufactured on demand. I see the same for Justice League Unlimited probably will get a Blu-ray release just like Justice League did. Won't have to worry about, we're just going to shovelware the episodes on there. They're going to get a high-def transfer. So Unlimited, Justice League Unlimited, I see them getting the high-def treatment. I do see that. SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron, I think they're going to get a shovelware Blu-ray on-demand thing by Warner Brothers. Thundercats is the same way. Silverhawks, and whoever Anime Video, who I think did get distributed, or Anime Works, another independent company who distributed Galaxy High. I think you're seeing a shovelware of a Blu-ray for that as well. So those are just titles that, just by what I'm looking at right now in front of me, and from what I can think off the top of my head, could get the, as you call it, the shovelware treatment onto Blu-ray. Mask, which is one of the titles I have in my Amazon queue right now, and possibly going to get next week. The Mask, the 1986 series, I definitely see that getting shovelware as well. But again, that's just my opinion, is what I think could be the titles that head in that direction. Should a lot of these video distributors and studios, should a lot of these independent studios and major studios that have distributed the DVD versions already decide to go in that direction. And because, like you said, they're doing it, Fox is doing it with Simpsons, so just a matter of time. So I definitely, even if it doesn't happen, it's just off my, even if some of these titles don't get that treatment, it's just off the top of my head as to what titles could go in that direction. And let's face it, a lot of companies, they look at it like this: either it's a worldwide release, online exclusive, or manufactured on demand. This is what companies look at. They look at money. They look at how much they can make off of it, and they also look at how popular Blu-ray still is. They look at it, and to them they're like, hey, if we say it's on Blu-ray, people are going to buy it because they're going to think it's going to be better. When it won't be. Some studios might do what Fox did with The Simpsons, and that's just up-convert, and that's just distribute up-converted versions or up-converted Blu-ray releases of the shows. They might attempt to do that, but as we have seen in the past, if you try to up-convert something that can't be up-converted, you get a disaster. Just check out some of the Dragon Ball Z Blu-ray releases of the past, if you get my drift. But again, it's just off the top of my head as to what I believe. These are just titles off the top of my head that I believe some of these independent video distributors, from Shout Factory, N-Circle, Anime Works, Mill Creek, Echo Bridge, along with the major studios like Disney, like Warner's, and whoever else, will will attempt to do. That's what I will attempt to basically shovelware, as you call it, Sean, onto Blu-ray, shovelware onto a Blu-ray for a Blu-ray release. And again, you know as well as I do, the only reason they would do that is because of money. I mean, think about it this way, and let me check my time here. Yeah, this is definitely going on YouTube, but it'll be linked to your channel, Sean. But think about it this way. Let me use this one. If they see a Blu-ray release, now this is just the Blu-ray release of Hulk versus Thor and Hulk versus Wolverine. But let's say they see a Blu-ray news of a Blu-ray release of, let's say, Sonic SatAM, knowing that Sonic still has a huge fan base and the SatAM fan base is still going strong in a sense. They, N Circle knows, hey, we'll make money off that, no problem. The same with Mill Creek. If they know people still like Heathcliff and they see that Mill Creek is willing to release a two Blu-ray disc release of the Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats, they're thinking, hey, there's still Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cat fans out there. If we say, hey, look, here's a 2-disc Blu-ray release of the entire series coming, they know they might plunk, as you say, plunk down money. Because that's all it's about. That's all it's really about. So, anyway, that's basically the titles that I believe, Sean, again, might get that shovelware treatment. I mean, like I said here towards the end here, as I close this, basically it's all about the money, and it's all about the popularity of Blu-ray. I mean, why do you think when a movie gets distributed, whether it's direct to video or it's just coming to DVD and Blu-ray, why do you think Blu-ray is the only title in the commercials? Why do you think when they were advertising the Lego movie coming, to home video, they said, coming to Blu-ray and digital HD. They never mentioned DVD, even though it's on DVD, even though it's got its own DVD release. So even though it's got its own individual DVD release, they only mention the Blu-ray because they know it's popular. They know it's still popular in the eyes of people, and they know that's what people will go for. So that's why I believe a lot of these companies that I mentioned might just go in that direction. So in the near future, but maybe we'll find out whether, maybe we'll find out whether some of that might be true or not, but I won't be surprised, and neither should you. So that's all I'm going to say. Let me know what you think, Sean. Let me know who you think could do that shovelware treatment from the studios and distributors I've mentioned. Do you agree with some of the titles I've mentioned, and do you agree with the reason for it? So let me know what you think down below. Anybody watching from David Bunch of Numbers, Israel Decoy, MOTU, MOTU. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. This Hidden World. Let me know what you think. And that's all I'm gonna say. So until next time, comment down below, and God bless. Take care.